Deep right field. Down the line it goes. Castellanos is out of room. It's out of runner goes. 3-2 pitch hit down the line. Is it fair? It is a fair ball. Into the corner. Off and running. Chu. Yu Chang around third. He's going to score easily. And into second. Hit hard. Hit deep. Up and out. Goes Amed Rosario. And there's a fly ball. Left field. It's deep. It's up. It's gone to the porch. Deep left center field, it is gone to Souvenir City.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Guardians of the CLE Podcast. I'm your host, Max Goldstein, joined as always by my co-host, Mel Kirby. And a lot of action happening this week for the Cleveland Guardians. We're going to be talking about a couple players that have been called back up. And unfortunately, one that we've had to let go of. But before we get into any of that, Guardians have won 15 out of their last 19 games. For anybody who's counting, we've now won 6 straight series after taking 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers on the road in Los Angeles, moving our overall record to 34-28. But Mel, I mean, it seems to be the key to the success this year has been the timely hitting, getting guys in scoring position. But I mean, what more can we say about that bullpen? Eli Morgan with a huge outing, Shane Bieber, picking up right where he left off. What's been the key to this success, especially over the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, timely hitting is definitely part of it. They're towards the top of the league overall in batting with runners in scoring position. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they still lead the league in 2-out hitting with runners in scoring position. We obviously didn't see much of that in LA. Hits were tough to come by. Obviously, LA's got a great pitching staff. Mark Pryor is doing a great job over there as the pitching coach, but our pitching stepped up, went toe-to-toe with them. And I think that was a huge measuring stick of just how far this team can go. And I think a big part of it too is these kids are starting to kind of fall into their roles a little bit. Obviously we have guys who can bounce around different parts of the lineup. Looking at the lineup tonight, we finally got Miles Straw in the 9-hole, Stephen Kwan leading off, which I think could be really good for Stephen Kwan's development moving forward. We'll get more into that later, but you got Richie Palacios, right? He's became this super clutch late inning pinch hitter. He did it again on Sunday, like it was nothing. I think Friday, game-winning sac fly. Oscar Gonzalez, first major league home run. Obviously, we know Andres Gimenez leading the American League in WAR, just doing outstanding this season. I think outperforming even what his biggest fans could have expected out of him. And that's the thing with a young team, right? You're obviously going to have peaks and valleys, but when you can hold your own on the road against one of the best teams, one of the highest payrolls in baseball, it's going to give this young team a lot of confidence.
Right. And another thing that I saw today pop up on my timeline was play of the week. He was the rookie of the week or the rookie of the month in April, but he earned the play of the week this week. Stephen Kwan with an absolute snag out in left field.
One of the best catches I've seen, just the range he went.
Crazy. I mean, just the catch probability, I think on StatCast was under 25%.
You could tell he just dove either way. I got to try. Right. The game's over if I don't catch it. I got to try.
I mean, he committed that much. It would have been disappointing to let him see it, hit up against the wall. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much we can say about this young squad and the way that they bounced back and made their adjustments throughout the season. But on that note, some guys that are going to be getting called back up for this weekend's this week of baseball. Franmil Reyes, he's finally come back, and I've seen some good things from him out in Columbus. But then Aaron Savali is going to have a true test tonight. The Guardians are going into this game one back of the division lead, and I'm still pretty sure that we hold a wild card spot as we speak. But I said it from the beginning. This year is going to be about winning the division. And if we have the ability to do so, we need to take advantage of it. So we got 4 games coming up against the Twins here. They're currently 1 game above us in the standings. And it all starts tonight with Savali.
I see a lot of people too say, oh, it's the weak AL Central. They wouldn't be doing anything if they weren't in the AL Central. Well, this past road trip, they leapfrogged two AL East teams in the Boston Red Sox and Tampa Bay Rays in the wild card race. And they only sit, I think, a game and a half back of Toronto. And like you said, the easier path to the playoffs probably is going to be winning the division.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. These next 8 out of 10 games, they sat Jose Ramirez Saturday and Sunday right into the off day, gave him 3 days off. They activated Franmil and Savali. They were gearing everybody up. They're chopping the dead weight, right? We were just talking about it. We opened the season. We had Yu Chang, Bobby Bradley Zimmer, Oscar Mercado, Logan Allen. They chopped all the dead weight, and they're truly going with their plan of like, let's let these kids play, because believe it or not, the next batch of guys is ready at Columbus. You got Will Brennan, Nolan Jones, Tyler Freeman, Gabriel Arias is coming back from his injury. They're going to need
Naylor
looks
just
too.
got called up too.
Yep, Bo Naylor. He's going to be extremely young for AA, and they didn't have to call him up just because Lavastida went on the IL. They got organizational fillers they could have put there, but they want to see his development. They're almost fast tracking him a little bit. That could be one of two things. They could be gearing him up for a potential trade. They've fast tracked guys before to kind of boost him up levels. But also, he could be the guy 2023, real early on, if not opening day, which, as we look towards the deadline, it gives us this really fun discussion of like, who do you want to see this team target? And, I posted that poll on the podcast page, and, Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ, who I've been saying, all off season, they won the poll, and that could work, right? You mentioned Bo Naylor. If he's going to be ready 23, you can afford to rent Wilson Contreras for half a season and have Ian Happ really solidify, the lineup in one of those corner outfield spots. So like, I think just with this young team, like they're not just fun anymore. Like they're good, they're exciting, and it's time to start paying attention to them. It may only be June. This is a big series they're starting tonight.
Yeah, everybody's got to put the Guardians on their map. I mean, I think I saw it was like the third or fourth post that MLB has even tagged us in this entire season, right? And that goes for Jose Ramirez winning Player of the Month and Rookie of the Month for Stephen Kwan. And I think, there was another play by Jose Ramirez earlier on in the season that they highlighted. But we have won 6 straight series. And people see a loss here and there. They think that we're about to fall off the tracks or whatever. 15 out of our last 19 games have ended in W's. So it's really just finding that consistency. And really, a lot of people were thinking that this road trip was going to be the end of all the good happenings, right? But we go into LA, we win 2 out of 3. Well, I believe we swept the Rockies, right? So
yeah, they went they had 1 loss all week. They went 5-1 on the week.
5-1.
And it's impressive. They're winning different ways, right? They had the offense in Colorado. You had Jose Ramirez going off in Colorado. Ahmed Rosario got a home run. He had an 11-game hitting streak, I believe. Even with Miles Straw struggling at the top, this offense has just found a way to keep churning. Oscar Gonzalez saw his first real major league struggles. He had 1 hit the entire Colorado series just because of the way they were pitching him. And what does he do? He adjusts right away. We go into LA. He starts being patient. He's seeing the ball better, and he gets his first major league home run. And you can add Franmil right back into the middle of that lineup. And I know they have him batting behind Oscar Gonzalez tonight, but I mean, his rehab assignment, he hit .429, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 4 runs scored. But most importantly, he only struck out 3 times in 21 at-bats. Wow. And I think for just what we saw from Reyes, I think that's going to do a ton for his confidence. And if he can start mashing like we know he can, this lineup is sick. This lineup's nasty.
Yeah. I mean, the league better be on notice. And I wanted to take a quick poll question between you and I, Mel. Out of that last 6 games, our 5-1 streak here, who's been your MVP? Because I think I have a little bit of an unorthodox answer.
Just overall pitching and offense?
Yeah. Out of these last 6 games, who are you giving that little trophy to?
I mean, part of me wants to say Anthony Gose for what he did Friday night.
Okay.
It's not, I bet you I'll beat you there with a weird kind of answer. And obviously there's other guys who have performed well, but like,
right.
We'll talk more about Friday's game when we get there, but like we were in trouble Friday night. Like Stefan got in, Stefan was in trouble that game. We needed ghosts. That's the night Eli Morgan and Emmanuel Clase, and I think Brian Shaw too, were unavailable. And he just came out and got 2 strikeouts out of the 3 batters he faced, and like just really solidified things in that moment and allowed Richie Palacios to go win the game.
Right. And you know what? You just mentioned how we were down some bullpen arms there. I'm going to give my trophy to Zach Plesac. I mean, absolutely no one expected him to go toe to toe with Clayton Kershaw.
He's a dog.
Have the Guardians leave the park with a win Friday night. But he goes out there, sticks to his game. He's had an up and down season all year, and out of any game to have he went 6 shutout innings or 6 innings with 1 run given up against arguably the best team in the majors.
Yeah.
It's just all the applause to that guy. He stepped up to the plate, no pun intended, because he's on the bump, but I mean, he really did a good job, and yeah, definitely giving all the credit there to Zach Plesac.
And like, let's give it to the kids too on Sunday. Like, a lot of people probably looked at Sunday as, oh man, they just lost Saturday. That turned into a throwaway game. Now Jose is not in the lineup again. Shane Bieber looked great. He had that stretch middle of the game. He was just mowing everybody down.
Right.
But the offense just couldn't get it going with Jose out of the lineup. And Ernie Clement's getting hits. Again, Richie Palacios, like it's nothing, just ice in his veins, just ropes a double to tie the game in the 8th. And, another kid, Andres Jimenez, wins the game. Like these kids, like you would think LA might like bright lights, big city. They're a little distracted. Like no moment seems too big for these kids. And I Andres Jimenez played in New York, so it's probably nothing to him, but you just can't talk enough about just how good these kids are when the moment matters the most. Not just like garbage games against the Royals, but like when the league is starting to notice you. They could roll over, but they just keep showing up.
Yeah, just keep churning away. And you just brought up Richie Palacios and that RBI game winning double, but we had a lot of movement in the last hour or two with the Cleveland Guardians, with some guys being DFA'd and other guys getting called up, right? So Richie Palacios, he made the cut, and
he's safe. Yeah,
you were one that was worried about that over these last couple of weeks here, but we both think he's earned the spot, right? He's been trusted with the late inning pinch hit role, and he's excelling, batting .290 with 5 doubles, 10 RBIs, only 9 Ks and 62 at bats, which is a percentage we pay very close attention to, very underrated. That's only 14% of his at-bats that are ending in strikeouts. So, I mean, he's also a utility guy too. Plays second base, outfield, all over the place. You sort of, make him a utility guy along with Owen Miller and Ernie Clement. And man, the expansion is beautiful.
Yeah, and I think, I tweeted on Sunday because I think when Franmil initially went on the injured list, everybody kind of expected, Oscar Gonzalez is only going to be up here while he's on the injured list. Soon as Franmil's ready, it'll just be Oscar who goes back down. But what these kids are doing is they're making it really tough on the organization, where they got to make some tough calls. I'm sure they tried calling around, trying to trade Mercado, just get something for him, kind of like they did with Zimmer, which is probably why we didn't get the news till, the last hour, as you mentioned. But I tweeted out on Sunday, especially after Richie just had that game tying double, that I just don't see them trusting him as that go-to bat off the bench. And if you notice, every good playoff team, they have that bat, that go-to bat off the bench that they can trust to not hurt the team, in tight late game situations. Right. And for us, it's been Richie. And I don't know, Max, he's won us like 3 games, I'd say. That double in Oakland.
Right.
Game-winning sac fly Friday. And then, you could argue that his game-tying double was almost as big as, the bases loaded hit by Jimenez to win the game. But
right.
I didn't see them, taking him from that big of a role, that consistent of a role that he's really settling into, to then, thanks for all you've done, but now we're going to burn another one of your options. You only get so many in a season. They've already called him up 2 times, I think. They didn't want to burn another one of those. So I'm glad they didn't delay the inevitable. Like, I wish, Mercado nothing but the best. He seems like a good enough dude, and I hope he catches on somewhere. But just with all the guys that need looks on this team, I think it was the easy call here, and I'm glad they made it.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. And, guys that we shouldn't be having conversations about anymore, Richie Palacios, Andres Jimenez, even Stephen Kwan. I think these guys are here for a long, long time.
How many people wrote Kwan off too, right?
Yeah,
when he was struggling in May. It's gonna happen. The league's this is the best in the world. The league's gonna adjust. It took him some time to adjust back, but he's the leadoff hitter now, right?
Yeah, and if there's any league where fans are going to lose their patience, it's the MLB, right? You got a 162 game season, and I remember
over results, right?
I remember losing that first game against Kansas City, and my brother was watching with me, and I'm just devastated. I'm like, we just got shut out against what may be the worst team in the league here. Barely put up. It's like we got a couple hits. But just to see the transformation from game one to where we are today, it's absolutely incredible. But a guy that we do need to start having conversations about, and I'll give you the points on this one here, is Myles Straw. I mean, Myles Straw has been struggling mightily over the last month or so. He's, for his last 22 at bats, he's over 22. Hit a double on Sunday in LA, but then proceeded to strike out with the bases loaded in his next at bat. So I think Tito got the memo that he needs to have a conversation with Myles Straw, and got bumped down to the 9 spot tonight. We'll see how the adjustment is made, but I'm
think
really
it could be
for this
perfect
guy,
for him.
Yeah,
it's almost like a second leadoff hitter, and we know how elite his defense is, but
right.
I think his struggles were just getting into his head. It was to the point they're throwing him fastballs down the middle to start off because they know he consistently takes that first pitch. So then he started swinging off his back heel, trying to hit those. And I think his whole approach just kind of like, you're just so all over the place. You kind of just got to like take a breath, reset. It worked for Kwan, right? Kwan moved down to 8, 9, and it got him hitting again. Now he's back in the leadoff spot. So I think with Straw, he just kind of needs to go down to that 9 spot. And once again, there's a reason he batted down there in Houston. They're a really, really, really good team, and they had him there. And, he wasn't pressing, and he was getting on base at a pretty high clip to turn it back over to Altuve and Brantley and Bregman. And they had success with that. So I think here, that's the best situation for him right now. Let Kwan go up there, give him a shot at leadoff. I think he's the most likely guy that I would put up there right now, because you want guys on base for Jimenez. Yeah. So I think they did the right call there, and I think it's going to help Myles long term.
Yeah, it will. I mean, and it was about time. It had to happen.
It was hard to watch.
It was almost like an automatic out to start the game every time.
It was tough.
It literally was, right? Up until that I don't remember the last time he's gotten on base to start a game unless it was a walk, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been a pretty rough month for him. He's batting 203 now. His OBP plummeted to below 300 at 298, which is, not going to cut it for a leadoff hitter. So
he started hitting them right at guys, but he doesn't hit them hard enough. Like his exit velocity is real low, like I think mid to upper 80s. It's like the lowest 8th percentile in the league. So it's just not getting by anybody.
It's got me thinking that he's just trying to make contact now. He's realizing he's whiffing on a lot of pitches. He's just like, it's got to be that continuous motion where he's making that contact, but also following through. It just seems right now he's doing anything for the ball to make contact with his bat. But hopefully moving him back down into the 9 spot will definitely pay dividends over the next couple weeks. But Mel, you created a poll on the Guardians of the CLE Podcast Twitter page, and it's received over 200 votes. So well job for a good questionnaire there. But thank you everybody for voting. But the question was, who would you realistically like to see the Guardians add at the deadline? And the trade deadline, which usually comes right up around that All-Star break in the middle of July. So the voters spoke. Brian Reynolds finished with 26%, tied for second place with Sean Murphy / a bullpen arm. But the winner clearly was Contreras or Happ. So I mean, I think that's right on cue with what we've been saying all year.
Yeah, and I think this is just such a fun question because I think a lot of us expected us to kind of be sellers at the deadline, like kind of not selling off the big names, but just selling a lot of this prospect surplus that we have. Maybe trading them, for some lower level guys who didn't need protecting from the 40-man roster right away. But now that we're contending and we're within a game of first place, Chris Antonetti and company do like to get creative at the deadline, and they do like to make some sort of move. And typically they don't like rentals. And I was torn between Contreras and Sean Murphy. And the cool thing is I could have made a case for each one of these options for many different reasons. We all know that we want a little more pop in our lineup. And I think Contreras would be the perfect guy to team up with Hedges, have Hedges come in a late game situation, do the framing and do all that. But like we had mentioned, Bo Naylor's on track to be ready in 2023. So you don't really need to worry about extending Contreras long-term because he's a free agent after this year, but you do have Ian Happ until after next season, which, puts him on the George Valera track. George Valera will probably be ready like late 2023. So you kind of have those guys kind of as like stopgaps until your top prospects come up. But I'm going to be curious to see how Bo Naylor does at AAA because I think over the next month that could do a lot. Do we look at the catcher position or do we not? And again, I tweeted about it. People need to not panic if he gets off to a slow start at AAA. He's 22 years old. He should be at like high A, definitely double A, and he's already up to AAA. So I think we need to be patient with Bo Naylor and remember that his defense is his calling card. He struggled mightily offensively last year, and nobody looked too far into it just because 2020 was wiped out. But he has improved so much offensively. Like, I can't wait to see him and Josh in the same. And if Bo's got anywhere near the energy that Josh has, they are going to be so fun to watch on the same team together.
Oh man, that duo of energy is just going to be
incredible.
Wow, there's no words. It's going to be contagious.
We have to draft the younger brother now, right? Miles. I think he's a Texas Tech commit, but we have to draft him. Just make it a family thing.
Yeah,
parents just got to travel here. They can see all of them play.
Go get a house
at the same time. Yeah, just buy a house here. They're all here.
Yeah. I mean, look, Bo Naylor, 22 years old. What was I doing at 22? I was writing papers and taking proctored finals.
Right.
So anybody that's ripping on this kid, if he gets off to a slow start, just think about what you were doing at 22. Think about what an average major league player's debut, how old they are when that finally comes about. Not everybody's a Manny Machado or a Bryce Harper or a Mike Trout, right? And you see even in Kansas City, Bobby Witt, right? He's not having a stellar year.
He's struggling,
Yeah, he's I think he's like 24, almost 25. So I mean,
and he'll be a star, but it takes a while. And Julio Rodriguez, people were saying he's a bust. Right. 1 month into the season, and now he's towards the he's top of the rookie leaderboard. Yeah. All it takes, you just got to get going. You can't call someone a 4A player because they're struggling. Do you know the jump from AAA pitching to major league pitching? Like, those off-speed pitches are nasty. That's a big adjustment for these kids. So, just like AA to AAA, and Bo's going to experience a little bit of that, and that's fine. It's all part of his process, and we just need to be patient with that.
We're talking about the difference between AAA to the majors. I just want everybody to take a step back. I was watching the College World Series today. It was Notre Dame versus Texas A&M, and Texas A&M, the Aggie starter, went 7 innings, shutout baseball. He only has 2 pitches. It was a fastball and a changeup, and these kids were just fooled. And
you better add a third. Because it's like if you can't command your fastball, a hitter is not even going to sit on your fastball. They're just going to look change up the whole time. Then what do you do?
It's on nails.
In the majors, that's what happens. But minors, college, you don't got to worry about it.
Yeah, they're so smart, right? Just because you can throw a 97 down the plate doesn't mean you're going to last long in the majors whatsoever. But so speaking of pitching and the bullpen right now, you've been wanting to see a bullpen arm added to the squad. And we know that the 8th and 9th is basically locked up at this point. We got Clase, who's been absolutely tremendous. Hopefully we'll see him in the All-Star game here pretty soon. And then Eli Morgan, right? What a stud, what a year, and what an adjustment he's made to his career from being a starter last year, getting knocked around, and then just coming in and doing his business for an inning or two at a time. It's just been absolutely incredible. But Henches has been excellent as well. De Los Santos for the most part, and then other than that, it's been a little shaky. So I'm kind of wondering who you're sort of targeting here towards the trade deadline.
Yeah, that Oakland's got some nice relief arms. And that's why I was thinking that deal could make sense too. You get Sean Murphy, but maybe add, I don't know, maybe even an Owen Miller, someone from the major league level to get that, proven major league arm, just maybe for the 7th. Then you could kind of work like De Los Santos, Stefan, Henches as the lefty specialist in like the 6th, 7th area. But, Sandlin got optioned down, with the corresponding Aaron Savali move, and he's got to work on his command. But like people forget, this dude is dynamite when he is on. Yeah. And he was just so lost. Like there's something with his mechanics and I think his delivery. He just can't throw strikes consistently. And, my thing is like, I know we weren't expected to contend till next year, but like the division's wide open this year. Why? You have the chip, push your chips in. You have the pieces to make it happen. Like the organization knew with all these middle infielders, the day was going to come. Like Andres Jimenez is showing he's the shortstop of the future. That I thought it'd be Rocchio, but Rocchio might need to move over to second. So then you still got Tyler Freeman, Gabriel Arias, Jose Tena. You got all these guys. There's only 2 spots for these guys. And, Arias can't move to third anymore because Jose's there. Then you got Nolan Jones, who was the third baseman, former number 1 prospect. He's out in the outfield now. So you have the chips to make a pretty significant move to help you win this year and also not completely destroy your chances in the future, because you need those veterans to mix in with this young talent. We know they're the youngest team in baseball. How much more confident would you be if you could just add, like when they brought in Edwin Encarnacion, right? He was that veteran presence, just smack him and Donaldson right in the middle of that order. And it's such a stabilizing force, right? Yeah. Andrew Miller got added to the bullpen in 16. And, we know how successful that was. So I say, like, who cares? Like, we can contend next year too, but it's wide open this year.
Yeah, I mean,
why not?
We don't spend that much money anyway, right? Like,
yeah, Blitzer's on now. Let's go.
Yeah, come on.
Open the wallet.
We got him on that minority deal, and I think the way that works is that by 2027, he's going to have most of the ownership of the team. So yeah. It's only a matter of time, guys, before that pocket just starts getting a little more empty, and we're going to start throwing some things in. But that's the state of the team right now. It seems like we're having a really good year. Currently, we're 6 games above 500. Hopefully, we can keep the good times rolling. Well, let's take a look back at the series between the Rockies and then the Dodgers. But I mean, Shane Bieber again in the first game against the Rockies. We won in extra innings, another extra inning win, and another 1-run win from the Guardians, who do pretty well in that category. But Bieber started off the pitching staff off strong in Colorado, and we know that in that kind of ballpark specifically, the ball is going to fly. So, I mean, we saw it in the second game of the series the following night, but considering who was on the bump, Senzatella versus Bieber, I thought that we were going to dominate on the offensive end. I thought Bieber was going to keep us at bay, but, Charlie Blackmon, fourth time against him, and you've been picking on Tito for this, but it's kind of hard. You can't really take out Bieber just because of who he is and the experience he has. But when Charlie Blackmon came up in that 7th inning, that we were up 3-1, I sort of just had like a bad feeling. I was like,
I don't love the fourth. I don't love the 4th time through the lineup. I know Bieber forced his way out of there and he's kind of earned that right. But like, hey, luckily Morgan, Shaw, and Clase were nails behind him, and Jose and Naylor showed up in the middle. 3 RBIs, I think, for Jose, 1 for Naylor. You know,
Naylor was
Jose
3
did
for
it
4 as
himself
well,
in the
yeah.
10th. He's like, let me just double this guy in real quick. Let's just end this.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. And then the following Wednesday, oh man, Pilkington, he struggled a little bit, right? But that's kind of been his MO. He struggles a little bit, but he keeps us in the game. And as long as he keeps doing that, I think he should just keep getting thrown out there, because he hasn't really done us that much harm. If anything, it's building his own character for his career. So Pilkington struggled a little bit, 4 1/3 innings, 6 hits, a walk, 3 Ks, and 2 earned runs. He got sent down to AAA after the game to prepare for Savali's return. So I'm sure we're going to see him later on in the season. But, you know, job well done to that kid for what he's done on his call-up.
He'll be like the 6th starter now, kind of like we thought Eli Morgan would be heading into the year. He'll be back.
And I'm
a lot
totally
of
cool
doubleheaders
with that.
coming up.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see him again, and I'm sure he's going to do good things. But Nick Stanlin struggled, and, you know, whatever, right? I mean, it's kind of just been that kind of season for Nick Stanlin. I like him. He's a hard worker, but like when you're walking this many guys and you can't find the strike zone, it's like, it's almost a liability to put you on the mound, and especially as a relief pitcher. I mean, this isn't the start of the game where we still have eight innings to make up your mistakes, right? These are coming at a bad time, and you know, it was just the move that had to be made. But De Los Santos, a guy that you're a big fan of, pitched a big 1 1/3 scoreless innings and made an immediate relief on that game. Jose was 4 for 5, just doing Jose things, and Rosario stayed hot, going 3 for 5, including his first home run of the season. So I remember you and I were talking about, like, you know, how is Ahmed Rosario going to stay on this team? And I said it was going to be his offense. And, you know, he's starting to pick it up now, right?
Yeah.
He got that home run. You mentioned before the podcast that he was on an 11-game hitting streak. So
they'll probably keep him to the winner now.
Right. He's doing his job, and that's what can be asked of him. And especially with those guys that you were mentioning in AAA that are on their way up, and the way Andrés Giménez is playing, props to Ahmed Rosario. That could just be the New York effect, not letting the noise control you all that much. But he's been keeping his head in there and just working hard every day. So props to him.
Yeah, good for him. He's definitely increasing his value. We know he's not going to be the guy of the future, but he's given us a chance to win now. I want him to perform well. And if they got to wait to the winner, they got to wait to the winner. But him at shortstop, I mean, all 3 games in Colorado ended in a double play. Clase got all 3 saves. So him and Giménez have some chemistry up the middle. He's improving defensively. I'll give credit where it's due.
Yeah, he's definitely improving defensively, and offensively, he's certainly making those adjustments. So it's just about, you know, how consistent he can remain. But a guy that we're sadly going to have to say goodbye to is Oscar Mercado, right? DFA'd today to make room for the guys coming up. But I mean, if you think about Mercado's career with the Guardians, it just comes down to him being a great clubhouse guy. Right. You know, all the interviews with Andre Knott, and just the way he represented himself, our city, the way he stood up to the classless fans in New York. I don't want anybody, you know, beating Oscar on the way out the door. I mean, he did his job. It's just it's a business, and this is how it works.
Yep. Best of luck to him. There just wasn't room anymore.
Yeah. And that's a good thing, right? When you can get rid of good quality players that, you know, aren't necessarily getting the job done. They're not detrimental to your team, but just to make that room for somebody that is going to be better. It's good to know that your team is in that kind of position, as opposed to a team like, you know, the Kansas City Royals or the Detroit Tigers, Pittsburgh Pirates. Like, we're not in that tier. So it's a good thing to know that, you know, we're looking to win this year, and that's the goal. So Thursday's win, we won 4-2. Got Jose doubled to make it his 8th straight game with an extra base hit. I believe that was his last game before injuring the thumb that sidelined him for the
he played Friday.
Played Friday in that win against Kershaw, but
he injured it in Colorado though.
Right. So Tristan was great. 6 innings pitched, 6 Ks, a walk, and 7 hits. Now his overall ERA is down to 2.96. So I think he's the clear number 2, and then that bullpen showing up again. Shaw, Morgan, Clase pitched again. Shaw gave up 2 hits in a run and didn't record an out. So, I mean, he's still struggling, but Morgan and Class A slamming the door, all you can ask for. So let's just roll right into this Dodgers series. And I think that's what everybody wants to hear about anyway, right? So Plesac, the MVP of the week for me, went on to pitch against Kershaw and, gave a performance we would have never imagined. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 walks and a K, no earned runs, right? So that bullpen was shorthanded, like you were mentioning earlier on, with Shaw, Morgan, and Class A, all of it unavailable due to them pitching every game in Colorado. So it was up to Hench's, Stefan, and Ghost De Los Santos, and those guys came in. They did their job.
Yeah, shorthanded bullpen took care of business, and only 6 hits in the whole game for the Guardians. 2 sac flies was enough to get the job done. We've seen a ton of sac flies this year, so small ball, just get them in. That's how they're winning.
Right, and your MVP of the week, right? De Los Santos, or excuse me, Anthony Ghost. What a time to come in and just get the job done and pick your team up when they're down. But Saturday was a sort of like a throwaway game. We're just going to skip right on over that. Cal Quantrill didn't have a great day. 5 innings pitched, 5 runs. We lost 7-1.
Only loss though.
Only loss of the week. Hey,
I'll take it.
Look, if they come, as long as we're on that upward trend, that's all that matters. But Sunday, a gutty win to win the series. The kids came up huge in this 5-3 win. Jimenez drove in a go-ahead run in the 9th with the bases loaded. Oscar Gonzalez finally got that first major league home run, and it was a missile, and that's what we expected, right? So,
yep.
Bieber struck out 9 and 6 in the 3rd, and then Morgan and Class A answering the call once again. Those guys have been incredible, and since the start of May, 45 and a third innings pitched, 0.57 whip with 54 Ks and a 0.40 ERA combined. So if that doesn't spell out all-star, you guys just aren't watching. Now, that's just it.
Agreed.
If you guys can't solidify Eli Morgan and Emmanuel Clase as all-stars, you don't watch baseball, and I won't argue that. Okay.
Agreed.
But we're 5-1 in our last 6 games. The Guardians are flying high, and it is that huge week coming up against the Twins here. We got 4 coming up. So tonight it's going to be Aaron Savali versus Joe Ryan. It's going to be tough. Aaron Savali, against the team that does hammer the ball out of the ballpark quite often. It's just going to be about, will he give up that multi-home run hit? So, that's what it's going to come down to. Then we got Tristan versus Sonny Gray on Wednesday, and Plesac and Devin Smeltzer on Thursday. So this is where it all comes down to, guys. This is going to determine what our July is going to look like. If we can go in and win 3 out of 4 against the Twins, we're setting ourselves up real nicely for July. But I want to hear your thoughts and what the key to success is going to be.
They got 3 against the Twins now, but they got 5 next week as well. So, Jorge Blanco just went on the IL for Minnesota. He's a Guardians killer, so that's good. Always got to try and contain Luis Sarai. He's leading the league in batting average, but their pitching's been better than we thought it would be this year. So it's going to be tough. Finish off the road trip. I think they're ready to go. They know how serious this series is. They could take the division lead. I think they're going to be up for the task. And side note before we close, the first round of All-Star voting, the results came back today. Jose is trailing Rafi Devers in the American League, and Jimenez is 3rd, somehow behind Santiago Espinal and Jose Altuve. So keep voting. These guys deserve to be in LA for the big game. I want to thank everybody again for taking a part in the poll I posted the other day. Everybody, sit back, relax, and let's watch the Guardians whoop on the Twins for a few days. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see y'all next week.